Alright, welcome back. We are just about done with this Submachine 9, but before I do the last part of the game, I want to quickly look around for one last secret. So there's something over here, but actually we can't do anything with it, so it's not that important. No matter what layer you're in, nothing will happen here. On the other side, however, we have this in the ceiling, which tells us to look into layer 5. Once again, look at the bottom of the screen to see that the fifth layer has the O on it. So if we head to layer 5, we find this brass scale. And to use it, we're going to head back up. Quite the bit of backtracking. If you remember, maybe, there is a device we haven't used yet, we never found a purpose for. It was this one right here. I will not fault you if you did not remember that, because I didn't either, and most people would have forgotten it unless you took really, really detailed notes. And this scale actually goes on there. And we can tip it in either direction, and it is not obvious what it does, so we'll actually have to unbacktrack to find out what it did. So I'm going to keep it tipped in this direction. This will make the least amount of backtracking. Oops, I don't want to go this way. I want to go down this way. Yeah, I have to do this at least 2 times, and if you do the wrong order, you have to do it 3 times. So it actually opened this grate up. So we can go down, but there's resin blocking the way any further. We can just push on this thing, and it doesn't do anything yet. We have to head back up to this device, tip it the other way, and what it's going to do is open up... I did it again. I passed the down, then to the left. It's going to open up the other grating we were unable to get into. All the way over here. Come on, there we go. And this would have been inserted in the slot, but since we pushed the thing over on the other side, it stuck that out, and now a secret fell out. So we now have all 5 secrets, and we can finish the game normally. Come on, game, you can do it. Let's head back down, and we're going to use our climbing rope. We got to turn this. Here we go. It's actually really good art, though. I don't want to be mocking over it. It's quite a step up from the first game, isn't it? If you remember. Move the mouse out of the way. I'm a scrub. And that's the bottom of the rope, I guess. So we just jump off. Hopefully it's not a long fall. It's long enough that you could potentially break an ankle if you fell wrong. Let's take a look around now. We got this huge statue. The greatest mystery and misconception of the doctrine is that Murtaugh gained his powers. He didn't? No, they were given to him. By whom? By Shiva, naturally. Once again, there's Shiva again. I don't know my Hinduism all that well, so I don't remember what Shiva is the god of, but it's odd that we're attributing Murtaugh's powers to Shiva all of a sudden. Can't seem to go any further that way, so we're going to just head the other way. There's a karma thing here, but we can't interact with it. Some kind of thing, and I. So layers 2, 4, and 6. Well, if you go to layers 2, 4, and 6, nothing seems to have changed. It's no different from the other layers. So something else is going on with this one. This one says layer 3, so we're going to go there. Oop, that opens this up. Another portal, and we're back in the sort of car that we were in the 5th game. But we can pull this lever again and take back our wisdom gems that we used to power this device at the end of game number 5 and return in the portal, which has apparently been destroying this place just as much as it destroyed other parts of the submachine. Alright, can't go any further that way. So the wisdom gems, this is the only thing we can use them on. We can't pour karmic water in there. So maybe we're supposed to put the wisdom gems in there in these layers only. So let's head to layer 2. Layer 4. and layer 6. And then that opens this up, and we're able to take a turquoise button. Now this goes on one of these things. We've had this missing button for 2 games now, and have never found a use for this. Well, apparently this is it. So we can put it on. Now we have 8 buttons. And if we go to the 8th layer, well, this happens. Because there really is not an 8th layer. There's only been 7 layers. So when we go to this one, some weird stuff starts to happen. This is now really interacting with the world. We're not sure what this is doing, but we can follow the light and keep following it. And we find this, and when we hit it, it takes us, well, who knows where. So instead of going back to the main menu, we're going to go back to the game because we still haven't used our secrets. And to use the secrets, we actually need to backtrack, even though we passed the point of no return. And in order to backtrack, we have to go back into the game from this point because it takes us back here. Because we still have, well, we still have the karmic wire we're not going to use, but we now have this device. We still have it, but we now have it with the 8th layer enabled. Sorry, I was trying to say sentences and it just wasn't coming out right. We still have this device, but it now has an extra layer. When we go there, we're not seeing anything weird yet, but we also see at the bottom we have 8 symbols there instead of 7. So there's 7 eyes and then an 8th symbol, the O, whereas before we only had 7. So maybe there's a symbol somewhere which tells us to use the 8th layer. And there was a symbol we saw earlier in the game that had 7 eyes but no O, and that might be where we need to go. But before we go there, we actually have to go here. This is not telegraphed in any way, but if you come here in the 8th layer, this hole that we've been unable to use so far actually has some electricity coming out, and it gives us this brass key. Then we have to head all the way back up to the top. Oh my gosh. Alright, that's the slowest parts are done. All the way back up here. And this has opened up, because now this actually tells us what layer to use. Because before it was just eyes, now there's an O at the end. Because the 8th layer is available to us. And in here we see a slot for our brass key. And a portal. And that music tells us we found the secret area. So this game just has some lore secrets. We're going to put these in the hand of whatever this statue is. And once you put all 5 in, you get to access the portals. You have to get all 5 or you don't get to go to these portals, which is a bit of a bummer, but that's how it works. Alright, let's do some reading. There are 7 main layers of reality. Yes, that's common knowledge. But there is another layer, the one often misinterpreted as the layer of time. If it's not time, what is it then? That's the layer of light. You see, when you move through the field of atoms frozen in time, the friction causes them to emit visible light. It's everywhere you move. It's not a guiding light. You're the one who's guiding that light. Where you will go is entirely up to you. So that's about the layer we're in now. Apparently, it's an extra special layer which isn't like the other 7, which are simply spatial dimensions. This one includes some other aspect. Murtaugh never said it was about revenge, but by then he was well used to not being understood. Back then they didn't yet have 7-layer bullets. The only option was to meet him at the knot, the place where all dimensions intertwined to become one. Then and there they waited, and when he appeared, Murtaugh was finally able to see what has happened. He fell to his knees. She came to him, sat down beside him, and they started talking. The bullets never reached them. So apparently, Murtaugh, who we now know couldn't really see everything because he was in some other level, was brought to a place called the Knot. And where we are is actually the Knot, this pyramid structure that we're in. It's a place where every layer really is kind of the same. They all interconnect here, except some minor differences. And so in this place, because Murtaugh would be one sort of person instead of multiple dimensions unable to be harmed, they'd bring him there, and then they were going to kill him. But when he appeared, Murtaugh actually started to notice that he was destroying the universe with what he was doing. And since he wasn't actually a bad person, he realized this was a bad thing. And apparently Elizabeth, this is who I would assume this is, welcomed him back. So something happened after that, because they didn't kill him. If he's the explorer, she's the healer. If he's the child, she's the older sister. When he couldn't understand, she knew that it wasn't his fault. When he fell, she picked him up. When they wanted to kill him, she explained. When he died, she carried his words. When she died, we buried her alongside him. They remained together in the light of Shiva. Your journey is almost at its end. Congratulations, you've reached the highest level of understanding possible to a one-dimensional mind. If you want to leave the structure, Shiva will guide you. Just follow him. Alright then, so apparently the whole thing has been resolved, the thing with Murtaugh, because he is dead and she is dead. That's strange, because once again, we were just interacting with them. After the Second Enlightenment, Murtaugh dedicated his life to restoring the chaos. While the main layers flourished under his word, the third dimension remained broken. Murtaugh was originally from the third layer, therefore there was nothing he could do to bring it back to the unbroken state. He often spoke about it being as a thorn in his heart. This was consuming him until the day Shiva gave him comfort of knowledge of the future. Murtaugh was already dying, and just before he drew his last breath, the light came to him and showed him what was to come. We believe he stayed in that moment forever. So Murtaugh saw what he was doing and decided to restore the world after that point. So all of the problems that have been happening in the previous games apparently are already resolved. That's strange. Because we still see things in a broken state. So if this all happened in the past and Murtaugh and Elizabeth are dead, why is everything still not restored, and why is Murtaugh still talking to us? I'm going way over time, and that's okay. It's arbitrary anyway, and we have one more to read. How is it possible that people are still coming through the loop and trying to turn off the defense systems after all these years? What would you have me do? Destroy his creation? Destroy the whole section? I don't know, maybe. You're talking about destroying our history. What next? Book burning? No, of course not, but maybe a sign that it's no longer necessary to shut down the defenses? And what about those in the 8th layer? I stand corrected. Huh. So it seems that people are still coming through the loop, like us, to turn off the defense systems, even though Murtaugh is not asking us to do that anymore. So maybe the loop isn't just a loop in space, like in the third game, where we have an endless place to go through, but there's a loop in time in some way, where Murtaugh, or at least his message, is still coming through, even though he's been dead for a very long time. Same with Elizabeth. And so we've been following stuff that's happened a long, long time ago, which is another explanation for why everything looks very run down. Looks like it's been years since anyone used anything. Who knows? It's a bit of a mystery. The author, Skutnik, is not particularly transparent about what's happened in the games. The games are a bit difficult to sift through in terms of the weird stuff going on. There's some fan theories out there, and I think that's deliberate. It's meant to be left a bit open-ended. And there's still one more game to resolve some plot elements with. But otherwise, we kind of have most of our resolution. And the best I can figure from this point on is that even though we don't know how we got into the submachine, when we got in and we started reading these notes from Murtaugh and Elizabeth, this is stuff that happened a long time ago, but for some reason it still keeps happening, and there's multiple people keep on coming through the loop and going through this set of events as if Murtaugh had just left the note, and there's some kind of time loop going on so that Murtaugh and Elizabeth are still able to communicate with you, even though apparently they died hundreds and hundreds, however long, years ago, because the tombs look like they haven't been used for a very long time. And Murtaugh and Elizabeth, their falling out, where it seemed like Murtaugh had become the bad guy, was kind of overblown, like he was more misunderstood, and he turned around and started spending the rest of his life trying to undo all the damage he did. So the only question then, well, there's a few questions. So the first question then is, it looks like he didn't finish restoring the chaos because everything looks pretty crappy now. And when we go through portals in certain areas, we see the universe is still kind of falling apart. The other question is, how on earth is he able to still communicate with us hundreds of years after his death? So we'll find that stuff out in the next game, which is by far the biggest game. So I will try to keep that one as short as I can. I don't want that one to spiral into a huge thing. It is longer than all the other games combined, honestly. So I don't want it to be like a 30 video game. So I'll do what I can on that one, but I'll see you in the next one. So thanks. Bye.